for inviting me and for the opportunity to discuss recent developments again in Germany that are aimed at advancing science-driven clinical trials to improve outcomes for cancer patients. This diagram is just another representation of the cancer research continuum that we've seen before, ranging from basic science on the far left to the clinical implementation of new insights into cancer biology on the far right. And in our country, fundamental and preclinical translational cancer research, as well as late-phase clinical research, are considered to be quite strong. In contrast, there seems to be a critical bottleneck between preclinical developments, such as those that are taking place at my institution at the DKFC, the German Cancer Research Center, or the DKTK, the German Cancer Consortium, or at the universities, and clinical trials in the later phases. And this is evident from the numbers that you see on this slide. It's evident from the fact that our output of science-driven early clinical trials is lower than in most of our neighboring countries and in North America. And it is precisely this critical juncture of the cancer research continuum that the NCT, the National Center for Tumor Diseases, focuses on. And Johannes Förner briefly introduced the NCT in his presentation. So what is the NCT? The NCT started in Heidelberg as a, I'd say, traditional comprehensive cancer center some 20 years ago. And our experience there can be divided into three areas. So first, our ambition has always been, and that's a classical CCC ambition, to integrate translational cancer research and multidisciplinary cancer care under one roof. And second, there has been a close and constantly evolving collaboration between the NCT Heidelberg and the second NCT site that was opened in Dresden in 2015. And while we still consider the previous work at Heidelberg and at the NCT in Dresden to be a success, we also faced a number of challenges that were related to the rollout of successful programs at either site, the lack of expertise in certain research areas, and also a synergy potential that was not fully realized. And in 2023, and again, you heard this from Johannes already, we opened a new chapter in the history of the NCT after a 2-year concept development phase and a total of 3 international reviews. The German Federal Ministry of Education and Research approved the expansion of the NCT by 4 new sites, comprising 11 comprehensive cancer centers as part of the National Decade Against Cancer. And within the expanded NCT, which we call the One NCT, highly specialized centers for academic, science-driven clinical trials are established that are jointly supported by the DKFC, so a research institution, and the participating university hospitals and comprehensive cancer centers. So the mission of the NCT has been refined. And overall, the NCT, the One NCT, aims to drive clinical and scientific innovation in order to provide patients with fast and equitable access to innovative therapies. And in addition, and again, you heard this from Johannes, and this is a novelty in oncology in Germany, patients are research partners at all levels. And this is a core element of the new NCT structures. And this core element is the overarching clinical translational trial program, or OCT squared for short. And the OCT squared program is a funding instrument that aims to support a large number of innovative academic multi-center clinical trials. And the schematic illustrates that proposals undergo a stringent multi-step selection process, the most important component of which is a scientific evaluation by a large international review committee, the so-called trial selection board. And the selection criteria that this board uses include, among others, whether the study addresses an unmet medical need, the trial's scientific and clinical quality, the level of patient involvement, prior work by the applicants, and potential intellectual property. And I just want to give one specific example. This is the first trial that will be supported through the OCT squared program. It's a trial called Rationale, and this is a joint effort by all 11 comprehensive cancer centers at the 6 NCT sites. So everybody is on board, including patient representatives. Rationale focuses on rare cancers, which collectively account for nearly 1/4 of newly diagnosed malignancies in Europe. They are associated with an inferior prognosis compared to more common entities, and whose diagnosis and treatment are faced with a number of unique challenges that are listed on this slide. So we believe this is a large patient population that is often neglected or overlooked. And this unmet clinical need has prompted the NCT to define rare cancers as a dedicated so-called priority disease area, which we hope will particularly benefit from the network's combined expertise, large case numbers, and our focus on patient involvement. And in the past, DKFC and NCT have actually tried to prepare the ground for improving the outcomes of patients with rare malignancies by developing the master program. And this is a precision oncology network. And in this network, which comprises all NCT sites, all sites of the DKTK, the German Cancer Consortium, and more than 150 partners that represent the entire spectrum of cancer care in Germany, from the oncology centers of excellence to colleagues in private practice, we have implemented a comprehensive diagnostic workflow that includes the application of whole genome sequencing, transcriptome sequencing, DNA methylome profiling, and other omics layers for clinical decision-making in patients with advanced rare cancers. And based on the analysis of a bit more than 5,600 patients, we have learned a couple of lessons. So we have found that comprehensive molecular profiling leads to a potential change in diagnosis in approximately 5% of cases, reveals pathogenic germline alterations in this patient population in approximately 10% of cases, and facilitates evidence-based treatment recommendations in more than 85% of cases, whose implementation is associated with a favorable disease control rate and progression-free survival ratio, given that this is an ultra high-risk patient population, patients with rare cancers who have typically exhausted standard treatment options. In addition, this program has yielded a number of academic clinical trials. It has realized patient participation and has also generated, and I'm talking about reverse translation, substantial scientific output in various areas, and this is reflected by a large number of cross-institutional publications, and also the extensive sharing across institutions of clinically annotated molecular data for scientific purposes. And Rationale, the first NCT trial, is a randomized diagnostic trial that will investigate the value of immediate versus later use of comprehensive molecular profiling for clinical decision-making in patients with advanced rare cancers. The primary endpoint of Rationale is progression-free survival, and our hypothesis is that early molecularly guided treatment will double PFS compared to standard treatment. Rationale is a large trial, so the enrollment of a total of 946 patients across all NCT sites, all 11 comprehensive cancer centers, is expected to start in June 2025. And in line with what Johannes explained to us, in line with our commitment to involve patients as research partners, our team includes 2 patient experts who have extensive experience with molecularly guided oncology and rare cancers. Bärbel Sölke is a lung cancer patient who is benefiting from molecularly targeted treatment for many years. She has stage 4 disease and has a ROS1 rearranged lung adenocarcinoma and is benefiting from targeted treatment for a long time. Markus Wartenberg is not a patient himself, but he has 20 years of experience with patient advocacy in the area of bone and soft tissue sarcomas. And these 2 individuals, 2 experts, have played an instrumental role in developing the Rationale protocol, including all the elements Johannes explained in his presentation. And during the trial, they will serve as trial ambassadors and ongoing advisors to clinicians and scientists involved in the Rationale trial. So in summary, the National Center for Tumor Diseases in Germany aims to transfer preclinical insights to patients, turning science into sorry, I forgot to move the slides. I'm sorry about that. So in summary, the NCT aims to transfer preclinical insights to patients, thereby turning science into everyday cancer care. A total of 11 comprehensive cancer centers position the NCT as a national engine for non-commercial science-driven clinical trials. The OCT² program is a very important instrument that provides substantial funding to fast-track the most important investigator-initiated clinical trials. And by pooling our expertise and large patient numbers, the NCT trial portfolio aims to tackle areas with a high unmet medical need and historically poor outcomes. So our overall goal is to run clinical trials that are co-designed with patients for patients. And this is all I wanted to show. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.